Welcome to Leadership at the Forefront of COVID. I'm Dr. Ann Pendo, the Senior Medical Director for Experience of Caring at Intermountain Healthcare, and I'm excited today to have Elise Graham, the Associate Operations Officer for the Intermountain Medical Group, with us today to talk about her experience during the time of COVID and what you've learned as a leader. So start us off, Elise, by sharing with us what your role was before COVID, and then the moment that you realized this was something big and you were going to need to step into your leadership role in a different way.
Yeah, so before COVID, I was the assistant operations officer for South Salt Lake region for the medical group. So I helped run all the clinics in the South Salt Lake region of the Salt Lake Valley. And then right around the beginning of March, when everything kind of started hitting in Utah, we were asked to participate in a meeting that talked about the testing sites and how to develop them quickly. And I got asked to kind of continue to work with the operations side of the testing sites moving forward. So we had 26 to begin with sites. We had to reduce by one about a couple weeks ago. So we're now at 25 testing sites. So I help with that piece of it, and I'm also the point person for the supply chain for the medical group. So for all the PPE items and all the swabbing items, I'm in pretty close contact with the supply chain to organize that stuff.
Well, all I can say is wow.
Yeah.
So no testing sites to 26, now 25,
Yeah.
and all the supplies that go with it.
Yeah.
How did you know to say yes to that?
I think when you get into situations like this, everyone seems to be willing to help. And so I don't think I even flinched when they asked. I think it's one of those things where you have a ton of energy, I think, at the beginning of these kind of, huge changes, and you want to help. So I think it was an easy yes when it happened. So.
And what would you say you took from your prior role that you used to execute on this really uncertain project?
Yeah, I think in my prior role and in this, it's all about communication and teamwork. The testing site leaders are amazing and dedicated and just this wonderful group of people. And so it was easy for me to engage them and problem solve with them. Literally daily, we still do it, figure out what's changed, what we need to adapt with. So that group has been amazing to work with. It was very kind of similar to my role in my region, where you have all these frontline leaders that have such dedication, and you just need to kind of, be the point person, problem solve with them, get them answers, stuff like that. So very similar kind of feeling and work that was done.
Was there something that surprised you about the role or surprised you about yourself when you stepped into this?
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things I've been learning is how much Intermountain works so closely with the state during things like this. I think they do it constantly, but in this particular situation, they are, I think, very key to what the state decides and how the state moves forward on things like this. And it's been really interesting to see that side of Intermountain, and it makes me very proud to be part of Intermountain because they are helping the state manage this crisis.
Yeah, probably not something you would have anticipated knowing about.
Yeah, no, normally in my day-to-day role, it's not as apparent as it is right now. So
I'm thinking back to those early days when there was so much need for testing sites, and thinking about the hours and the brain power that goes with doing all that work. How did you take care of yourself so that you were able to show up in ways you wanted to during this time?
Yeah, I would definitely say that's where I learned a lot. I think in my day-to-day job, I usually can balance that well. But I think at the beginning of stuff like this, you get so much energy and there's so much work to be done. You truly can work 24/7 if you wanted. And so I think I did that, honestly, for probably a month or so. And then I realized I can't sustain this. So I think it was, just stopping and being okay with, turning the computer off, turning the phone off at a point, and going and doing things I enjoy. I enjoy being outside, which was nice that was something that wasn't as impacted with COVID. I could still go outside and be in our mountains, which are so close to us. So I think that helped, just getting back to taking that time, stopping the work at a point, and being able to do that.
And you said you realized that you couldn't keep going. Was
Yes.
there something that happened that said, okay, I need to do something different?
No, not really. I mean, luckily my husband would have let me, continue to work. I think he tries to get me out of it, but he also knew what was going on. So he just supported me in other ways. But I think you just get to it internally. You're just like, I need a break.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was like one thing. It was just, at a point where everyone's just like, I need something to reset me.
And I think we're recognizing now that it's a marathon,
Yes.
not a sprint.
Yes.
But all that work that has been done up to now is really preparing us for whatever changes or whatever becomes our next normal.
Yep, absolutely.
So as you think about going forward, what are the things that are top of mind for you today?
So going forward, a couple of things come to mind. First of all, personally, I am an internal processor. I'm kind of a self-proclaimed introvert, and when I have problems that come into my life, I solve them internally. I just kind of think about them a lot and kind of go into myself. I've realized, because these problems that we're facing today are so big and some things don't have answers, that process and that part of me needs to change. I need to be able to talk to people and vent frustrations and commiserate and stuff like that, because that is what kind of releases it and then allows you to move on and move forward. And so that was an interesting growing opportunity personally. And I hope that continues after this. I think it's healthy. But I think for someone with natural tendencies to be an introvert, that's not natural. You have to kind of force yourself to do it. So That's one thing. And then the other thing I've loved watching is, our organization before all this, I think we were good at helping each other. But I would say it wasn't natural. I think it took a little bit to get someone to ask for help or receive help or offer help. We were kind of in our little silos, and we were really amazing at that. But this has shown us that caregivers can do and, help with anything. They can jump into different parts of the organization and help. So I hope that culture continues, that ability to not be, it's not my job. It's everyone's job. We're here to take care of the community. So I hope that continues.
I think that's a really, that's a lovely comment about asking for help, because I do think that we, especially in healthcare, aren't wired to ask for help, and we've got the mindset of we have to do it all on our own. And I would agree with you. I think that's the one thing that being in the time of COVID has taught us, is that we must ask for help or we're not going to be successful.
Yes, absolutely.
So as we wrap up our time together today, and reflecting on the last 4 months, what are the leadership lessons you've learned or the personal lessons that you've learned that you can share with us?
Yeah, I think one big one is, and I hope this is something everyone's learned from this, is because of the pace of the changes that happened through this, when you failed, you had to fail quickly, and you almost had to not think about it after, because you didn't have time. You couldn't dwell. And I think before all this, I definitely was one of those people that when I made a mistake, I thought about it and it spun a little in my head for, a certain amount of time. This allowed me to hopefully get out of that habit permanently, because you can't dwell when you're in a crisis mode like this, when you're trying to fix things so quickly. You have to move on and figure out the solution. So I hope that as a whole, because I do think Intermountain as a culture, we're all kind of perfectionists. As you said, we want to do it right the first time. And so I hope all of us can move forward and say, it's okay to fail. We can do this a couple times until we get it right. So, and do it quickly, which is really, really inspiring to watch everyone do that in Intermountain.
That's so great. So failing is learning.
Yes.
And being in this time of rapid change didn't allow you to dwell on it. So It allowed you to move forward and allowed you to know that you could do that. Yes. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much for being with us today. And I'm just in awe of the work that you have led in getting all those testing sites set up for our patients, their families, and our community.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll look forward to having you join us next time with our Leadership in the Time of COVID conversations.